Good morning, Philadelphia and all of the ships at sea. This is your girl, Amber E, with the piping hot tea. This is my tea. What's yours? Happy. I guess I'm the one to say it to you. Happy August, Philadelphia. I know. Where did the summer go? Where did the time go? I get it. It's just, it feels like such a jump. I do a bit of scrolling on social media like a lot of people do. And this morning, after I meditated, I was scrolling, and it was funny that there was a video that popped up where someone from, I think it's boardeducation.com. It's a really good way for educators, teachers, etc. to exhale, because you kind of see how a lot of teachers are kind of feeling the same thing. And one educator said, why does it feel like August is the countdown when we get back into the classroom? I mean, June went on forever. June was like the golden retriever of summer, where it just kept going and going. We'd wake up at 11 in the morning. We wouldn't feel bad. Personally, I did for a while. I'm not going to lie to you. And then July was great. And then somehow it dragged on for a long time. And then it ended really fast. And now we're here in August. Here's where I'm at with this. Just putting this out there. Yes, we are on the countdown to the school year starting, again, in a couple of weeks, good people. But at the same time, I'm kind of excited about it. And again, it might just be because I'm in a good headspace because I meditated first. But at the same time, I'm really glad that we are starting strong with August. I'm glad that you're spending your first morning in August with me, avec moi, on Tea with Amber E, good people. If you are going to go outside today, it is a scooch muggy. You know, it's always this time of year where you get those wonderful, cool mornings that feel like August. And again, for those of y'all who know me, I prefer the winter months to the summer months, fam. So I'm a scooch biased, but it's so nice. And you feel the cool breeze and you go, oh, maybe I should put on a, like jacket or something, or a sweater, maybe even a sweater. Oh, but then the temperature around noon goes, It's still summertime, children. Slow your roll. It ain't time for us to, bring out the heavy coats and whatnot just yet. We still got some more heat to do. Nice try. But in any event, it is going to be right now it's about 71 degrees, putting that out there for those of you who have not been outside yet. It's about 71 degrees, and we're going to have a high of 86 and a low of 70. It's going to be fine. At any event, I anticipate great things for August. It's like that reset button where everything gets back on point. And I was having a talk with one of my relatives about this not too long ago. I don't know when, especially here in Philadelphia, because my family's from Charlotte. Hey, Charlotte, love you. Where, when I go down every summer with my family to visit my family there, my family in Charlotte, I would always marvel at how my cousins would get out of school in May and then go back to school in August. But here in Philly, we get out of school in June and go back to school in September. Here, it's like everyone's going back to school in August, whether you got out in June or May or in the middle of July, it doesn't matter. I don't know who makes these decisions, the Board of Ed. I know who makes these decisions. But at the same time, just the kind of thing where I can sit back and go, oh my goodness, I really am at that age when I can go, remember back when August was when you would go back to school at CVS and you'd get your marbled black and white composition books and you learn how to write cursive? Oh yes, I remember when. But in any event, good people, I really am excited about August because there are some great things happening with Tea with Amber E, with here at G-Town Radio, in our country. And you might be wondering, why is Amber so optimistic this morning? Not just because I feel like a new month is a new start over that 30-day window, but at the same time because I feel like, and it's me doing my own self-assessment, because child, I had a week. I ain't going to go into it, but you'll read it in the book and whenever I write it. But the bottom line is, I do think that in looking at where we are as people, as members of the Germantown, Philadelphia, AmFam community, I am just so excited about how we really are coming together. And I do, by the way, before I forget, I do want to give a thank you to everyone who sent me love and sent me congratulations this past Tuesday, because this past Tuesday was the 1-year anniversary of Tea with Amber E. And if you do go to my YouTube channel, you will see the very first episode of Tea with Amber E, which was at one point Tea Tuesday. A bit of backstory, where again, this started off as a creative outlet back when I was in social work. I'm in education now, but when I was in social work, and honey, we made it through the pandemic with social work, child, where folk were getting furloughed. I'd never heard the word furloughed until the pandemic, where the unemployment offices were like nothing I'd ever seen, where people were trying to figure out who's going to get their SNAP benefits, who's going to get their Medicare, who's going to get their Medicaid, their Medicaid, their Medicare Part C, who's going to get X, where does the WIC go? Miss Earls, can you help us? Blah, 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 blah. Tea Tuesday started out as an outlet because I had, when we were allowed to finally go outside, I had a coffee house not too far from where I lived while I was working hybrid. No, we weren't hybrid yet, but we were still working from home. Make a long short of it, it turned into, it went from a creative outlet to a weekly thing I was doing that I called Tea Tuesday. And I am a Philadelphia native, but a lot of my early adulthood was spent in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I went to college. And I have a friend named Jason Rodriguez. How you doing, Raven? You go, you tea drinker. Who taught me about Tea Tuesday. So I brought it with me back here in Philly. And it's like, Tea Tuesday, why not? And you've all heard the story about the pitch and Juneteenth, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go down that road right now. But what I will say is, in looking at the year that we've spent together and the posts that I put on my own social media page, I just want to say thank you to everyone who in this last year really has taken the time to enjoy tea with me. And I don't want to name too many names because, again, I don't want to forget anybody, but of course Dr. Nariette Butler, who was my very first host here in the studio, to Ms. Charlotte Butler, Miss Queen Charlotte Butler, who back when I was doing my Tea Tuesdays, after every episode I'd call, well, hello, Miss Charlotte, I do declare, how you doing? She knows. Thank you, Mother. We love you. To my Auntie Natalie Mobley, who was watching, listening right now, who's listening to every single episode of Tea with Amber E since I've been on the air, to Tom here at G-Town, to my cousin Wayman Smith, who is just a wonderful guide and who kept, because remember y'all, tea ain't free. Hello. Who kept the tea pouring, to my family and my friends, to my friend Joshua, who's just such a wonderful encourager and fellow tea drinker, and again, to my friend Ebony. I have to pause for Ebony, because Ebony is a wonderful friend, but she was also the person back when we were actually still in the office, when I was in social work in the nonprofit sector, saying, you should have a show about tea. You've given the talks about it. We know that you drink it, round and rounds and dreadful show. I'm taking my time for this for a reason, because my father was really big on saying things like, Amber, you gotta give honor to whom honor is due. That's why I'm taking my time this morning, Am Fam. But it was Ebony who said, you need to do your show on tea. I don't know how you're going to do it, but it's something that you really owe yourself. And I remember thinking to myself, radio, that's the thing I figured I'd do when I was like, 68, and wanted to see if NPR was still a thing, because people would be clamping down on what people can say and all that. And radio, and besides, I don't really, this is me being a little transparent, Am Fam, I don't like being in front of a camera. It's been a lot of growth. But, I don't like really being in front of a camera. Am I able to talk to people for half an hour? Just the things in my head that were getting in the way of what my heart knew to be true. And I'm going to pause even more for that, because there might, and I've said this before here on Tea with Amber E, somebody's waiting on what you're hesitant to bring to the table. Let's pause for a second, because you know what? I feel like I might have just hit something right there. Today's tea is a black tea. I know that I've been drinking my iced teas for a little bit, but given the weather, even though it's smoky outside and I'm not happy about it, I'm like, you know what? I want black tea today. I want Old Faithful Darn Skippy, and that's what I'm going to do, because I'm doing that on my show today. So, spoons up, Am Fam. You ready? I'm ready. If you come ready, you don't got to. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Here we go. Hit it with the microphone. Let's try that again. Round and round's a dreadful show. Back and forth is how we go. From 6 to 12 and back again. Back and forth to stay within. Here's your topic. Somebody is waiting what you are not yet bringing to the table. Bring to the table. We hungry. Discuss. Let me tell you something about a classic black tea. That tastes like my mother on a Saturday morning making banana pancakes from scratch with my dad sitting at the kitchen table, reading the daily news, eating the cannolis from Tiffany's that I got him the night before, because he said if you're going to go to the gallery, now whatever we call it today, what is the fashion district? I digress. And if you're going to go to the gallery, bring us the cannolis. Oh my goodness, I didn't expect that. This brought me back down memory lane. Keep talking about how you're special. Keep going. That is just a black tea with sweetener. No lemon, no cream. Oh, that made my heart happy. And you make my heart happy, and fam. Thank you for listening to, oh my word. I hope whatever you're enjoying, be that breakfast or something you're eating, something you're drinking, I hope that you're enjoying it too. That hit all the right notes. Anyway, as I was, oh my word. Woosah. Oh yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, fam, somebody really is waiting what you have to bring to the table. And I'm not saying that I've mastered that, because sometimes as a human being I still have my oops moments where I go, are y'all sure? But I've noticed that when I do take that leap into my destiny, so to speak, it's better. There's some, I don't know if you've heard of this term, but there's something called a teench, T-E-E-N-C-H, a teench. A teench is where, you know, when, I'll give you the scenario, you know when you go to the pool and you know that it's cold and your body's a certain temperature, and you know that if you ease into it, it's going to get warm, so you take your toe and you touch it, or another example is when you rip the edge of a piece of paper off and there's that little corner, that's a teench. Some of y'all, myself included, we may need to stop teenching. The water is cold, but if you jump in, not only do you make a big splash and get that amazing adrenaline rush, you also let your body just adjust to the heat all at once. And then you get up, you have your moment like, oh, I did the thing. And on top of that, remember, your body is made of over 66.6% water, so you're going to float. I need to hear myself say that today, because I understand it, there are consequences to putting yourself out there. And actually, I take that back. I'm not going to use the word consequences. There may be things that you have to endure if you decide to speak the truth, or you decide to stand up for what is right, or you decide to be open about what you think, because let's face it, folk may not like it, but I'm here to let y'all know that some people need to hear that, because unfortunately, I think that artists and poets and writers, and even those who have any kind of platform, understand better than most that this is not easy. And here's my segue to one of the three things we're going to talk about today. I know that last week we touched on it briefly, but there was something I saw in the news this week as we continue to unpack the death of young Nolan Wells, and how, of course, as I mentioned last week on Tea with Amber E., his funeral took place, which, of course, Colin Kaepernick and Tyler Perry were instrumental in helping pay for, and, of course, people like the Reverend, I almost said Jesse Jackson, rest in him, the Reverend Al Sharpton, they attended, so on and so forth, but there's something very interesting that's been going on. There's been a lot of articles about how Nolan's mother has been getting a lot of ugly folks saying some ugly things to a mother who just lost her son. I said what I said. Let me say this really quick. You don't have to agree politically. There's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of controversy. Ooh, woosah. I had a moment. I'm back. There's a lot of controversy around this, but let me just say this for our listening, especially since from a political standpoint, sometimes those in leadership are not the kindest when we see things that make us unhappy. Humanity demands respect for your fellow human being, I believe. And I also think that if you are going to put it out there, honey, it's going to come back to you. Some people call it karma. We call it sowing and reaping, but I'm saying it to your face and for your ears. Watch what you say, because it may hit you back in a way, double the hurt, I might add, that will be exceedingly inconvenient. Be careful. I'm just putting that out there. And as I would say to my kids in my classroom, Miss Earls, you just got mad. No. Am I mad? No. Am I passionate? Heck yeah. Miss Earls, is that of me? No, it wasn't at you. But it might be for somebody in the classroom. So if it ain't for you, keep it in heart to share with somebody for later. But it is for you, Selah. But one thing I wanted to bring up was that according to an article in the New York Post, Ms. Rachel, and again, there was a wonderful feature on her on CBS Sunday Morning a couple of years ago. She stirred controversy, quote, with the racial claim about Nolan Wells' investigation. According to the article, it says, and I quote, a controversial children's educator and YouTube star is weighing in on the investigation into Nolan Wells' mysterious death, with a now viral social media post pointing to unsupported allegations that race played a role in law enforcement's handling of the case. In a post shared on Instagram, Ms. Rachel, a popular content creator whose real name is Rachel Acruzo, I hope I'm saying that right, appeared to question the case surrounding Wells' death, suggesting that the investigation, yes, would have played out differently. And so it's very important to, while we are speaking the truth, knowing that it might come, I don't want to say with a price, but with a heaviness. I remember I saw this week that Miss Rachel got a lot of backlash for that. And I feel really bad for her because, again, she did put in a post, Nolan and his family deserve justice. I think at this point, thank you, Am Pam, I hear you. I think at this point, it's going to take all of us supporting one another as we look for more answers, because justice is important. There's a mother who lost her son. There are even people who are comparing this to what happened with Emmett Till, where there's been such an overt display of the terrible aspects of this, where people are like, let's just turn our heads and not see it. No, there's something in the water, and it makes you kind of wonder, what don't we know? What do we need to learn? And Miss Rachel really is getting pushback for it. As a matter of fact, to go on back to the New York Post article, it says, quote, an independent autopsy later commissioned by Wells' family labeled his manner of death to be, quote unquote, undetermined, pending further investigation. And so it's still kind of touch and go. People are still asking a lot of questions. And again, the article goes on further to say the results of a second autopsy commissioned by the Mississippi Medical Examiner have yet to be released. Additionally, authorities have not announced charges stemming from the case. This is heavy. This is hard. But guess what, AmFam? I would dare say, if the Miss Rachels out there are saying what people need to hear, or at least what they're thinking, it is our job to support them so that they don't feel alone in speaking the truth. And if you've been to my lectures, speak the truth, speak the truth. It may be difficult, but someone is listening. And someone may need to hear that they are not alone in what they're perceiving. Until we get more information anyway. Again, this is still an open case, and so we're really hoping that we get more information about this. So, Nolan Wells. Oh, I wish that were the only thing that kind of made me arch my eyebrow this week, Philadelphia. But guess what else kind of made me go, okay, what's happening? Now, you remember how last week we talked about how Howard University, HU, I am not a Howard University graduate, and I have never attended an HBCU in my own time. But hey, I'm young. I still want that doctorate. We'll see. Anyway, as you all know, as I mentioned last week, Howard University, they had a bit of an issue last week because some folk missed the deadline for finances, and so over 500 students were disenrolled from Howard. So it's been quite a bit of work trying to get that taken care of. Last week, that there were at least 200 people approximately who were reinstated back into the schools. But one thing I found very interesting this week was that a lot of schools that saw that these incoming freshmen were being disenrolled by Howard have kind of jumped at it and said, hey, guess what, incoming freshmen? We didn't forget about you. There was an article in the New York Times that was released yesterday, actually, July the 31st, that talks about how Howard University, again, I'm quoting, the Washington, D.C. University told incoming freshmen who missed a tuition deadline that they no longer had a spot, but they can now attend a New York State school, or CUNY, the City University of New York. This article again states that This young lady, her name is Ms. Payano, excuse me. She was going to attend Howard University, and again, now she is not sure she's going to have a spot in the incoming class. Actually, she's not, because the article goes on to say, and I quote, Ms. Payno will attend the University of Albany in the fall, a last-minute switch made possible after Governor Kathy Hochul of New York offered to give disenrolled Howard students expedited late admission to certain campuses that are part of the State University of New York system and the City University of New York. Quote, they earned their acceptance, made their plans, and should be counting down the days until move-in. Instead, they're being forced to start over, said Ms. Hochul. Students whose Howard enrollment was canceled and who are New York State residents will be automatically accepted into one of the SUNY campuses that have availability. In addition to the University at Albany, participating campuses including SUNY Stony Brook and the University of Buffalo, among others. Out-of-state students will receive an expedited admissions process, and the City University of New York is offering a similar program. So, I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of like, ooh, Howard, honey, what happened? On the other hand, business is business, and a lot of other schools are jumping on the opportunity for students who were disenrolled, incoming freshmen, who were disenrolled, to still have that opportunity to start their freshman year, their education, with pride. And I will say this also, according to an article from foxbaltimore.com, I will also mention that in trying to fix this, Maryland Governor Wes Moore announced an $800 credit for disenrolled students for Howard University. So there have been people, there have been leaders, there have been administrators who are trying to fix this, especially when it makes national news. So there was a bit of a snafu, there was an outcry, and there was a result. Does this sound familiar to anyone? A snafu, an outcry, a pushback, a change. Do not let anyone think that because you are one person who does not, quote unquote, have power, that you can't do something. So for the incoming freshmen, from my teacher's heart, I know this has been difficult. Goodness gracious, my freshman year, like I said a bit ago, was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I cried for an hour after my mom and my dad dropped me off at university, and I found out later my mom cried on the plane. And that was 20 years, wow, that was 20 years ago. So at the end of the day, AmFam, this is supposed to be a time of excitement. It's turning into a time of controversy for one HBCU. And to jump to another HBCU, the third thing I wanted to talk about today, and I'm looking forward to this one, was another HBCU, Tuskegee University, that has been in the news because their dress code has been challenged. According to an article in Ebony magazine, Tuskegee University's new dress code isn't just about bonnets and do-rags. It's the latest chapter in a decades-long conversation about respectability politics, Black identity, and the expectations placed on HBCU students before they even enter the workforce, that is. Again, this week, Tuskegee University made a statement that they will ban bonnets and do-rags to enforce professional dress codes. Dress code reflects respectability politics, including influencing Black students' appearance standards. And HBCUs now face tension between cultural expression and conforming to dominant workforce norms. Ahead of the 2026-2027 school year, Tuskegee University announced it will ban bonnets and do-rags in classrooms and the cafeteria in an effort to provide students with a quote, solid foundation for the workforce they will enter once they leave Tuskegee. President Dr. Mark A. Brown outlined in a message directed to parents of prospective students. Professional dress codes are nothing new, both at HBCUs and the world in general. You can't go into a stakeholder meeting wearing your pajamas, a category that often includes bonnets and do-rags, even though an argument can be made for the latter's role as a cultural style staple with its own gendered implications. So, in me looking at this and me dissecting it, you know what, before I talk, let me take another sip of tea. Child, And me looking at different sides of this, one of those being a friend of mine, I get it. To the point Ebony magazine makes, it is cultural, it's cultural expression. You know, we go out, we wear what we want to wear. I'm talking about the Black community. How we dress, How we express ourselves defines our culture. It always has. There was even a meme circulating that I may not necessarily get, of one where someone put a picture of Sojourner Truth in a bonnet and said, isn't it the same thing? Okay, here's where I'm at with this. No, it ain't the same thing. Okay. I'm putting aside that I had to wear school uniforms when I was growing up because I went to Catholic school growing up. Hey, Incarnation, which no longer exists, sad day. But there's something to me about the sharpness of showing up when you are in a professional setting. And again, I get it. Sometimes we tired. Sometimes we don't want to. Sometimes we just want to do what we feel like. There's a quote from the movie The Great Debaters that starred Denzel Washington and Forrest Whitaker, where Forrest Whitaker's character says, sometimes you have to do what you have to do in order to do what you want to do. And I really do objectively understand this argument. I really do get it. But at the same time, if you go to the emergency room wearing jeans and a t-shirt, the person looking at you may not know that you work there. If you go to any fast food joint, you're not wearing your uniform, people will not know if you're there to serve or you're there to eat. And again, I understand that there is a expression of this that I'm just showing up and I need to show up and I have to show up. And sometimes I don't feel like showing up and I'm tired and I have a lot that I'm carrying and I need to just show up to class, and this might be the me that you get. But I'm also here to say this very clearly. Here, I'm going to put on my teacher's hat for a second. I remember when I was over at Russell Byers Charter School, this is pre-pandemic, and I remember this is back when we had to wear uniforms, and my kids would come in, you know, and their ties would be crooked, and their pants would be, and I'm like, honey, what are you trying to say with your clothes, with your appearance? What does this say about you? When you show up, do you hear words of empowerment, sharpness? Do you hear words of strength, confidence? Maybe if I think outside the box, and maybe I am sounding like a little bit like an old head, but I really do think that there is something to be said about someone who shows up sharp or professional. And to go to Tuskegee's website, tuskegee.edu, they say, and I quote, Tuskegee requires every student to become workforce ready before crossing the commencement stage. While academic rigor across all 8 colleges and schools at the university is the centerpiece of preparing them for success, university leaders recognize the reality that business attire required for many work environments can be an additional financial hurdle for many students. The Golden Tigers Community Closet fills that gap. So there's actually a way for you to take care. If you don't have it, there's help for you. And again, I don't want to sound preachy, and I understand this might sound like a bit of an old school way of looking at this, but I think there's something very empowering, even if it is outside of your comfort zone, to show up to say, I'm here. Not just that I'm here so that I can get my degree. It's I'm here because I have pride. Okay. You have a millennial's viewpoint on it, but when I read that, I went, okay, no. Y'all can't come to my classroom looking like this. Because somebody's watching you. And what you wear says what you think. I'm not asking you to wear a suit and tie, unless that's your gig. But if you wore it to bed, even if high fashion is saying we can wear our pajamas out with a pair of high heels and jeans, I get it. Try it just for freshman year and see what happens. See if it makes a difference for you. If your friends aren't doing it, okay, be a standout. I'm wearing bell bottoms today. I don't know anybody else wearing bell bottoms. I almost said, is this the right choice? It's not the same. I know it's not in the same wavelength, but at the same time, it may make a difference. Enjoy your tea this week, Am Fam. I love you. You've got this. I've got you. You've got me. Love and light to you all. We gonna be okay. Peace.